Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I super appreciate it. This week, we'll be checking out a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time, Banjo Kazooie. We're going to be looking at the sequel Banjo Tooie to finish off this marathon. Now, this game, there's a huge debate. Which one's better, Banjo Kazooie or Banjo Tooie? Well, I think everybody knows my favorite in the series is Banjo Kazooie. But just how good is Banjo Tooie? And should people have an opinion that this is the best game in the series? I'm not sure. Let's find out. Here's the intro. Well, for the development of this game, it started right after Banjo Kazooie was released. The main man, Greg Mayles, who worked on the previous game, will get right to work on this game. In June 1998, development started. They wanted to implement previous ideas they could not implement into Banjo Kazooie due to time strains, such as multiplayer and bigger environments and bosses. The game was also going to have stop and swap as well, but with new expansion packs and new versions of the N64, this did not allow it. However, in 2009, this was implemented with the XBLA versions of the game, so the swap items were added in Banjo Tooie as collectible. The game was released on November 20th, 2000, under the name Banjo Tooie. The plot for this game is kind of crazy, so strap in. 2 years after Banjo defeated Gruntilda, Banjo and Kazooie are playing poker with Mumbo and Bottles. Gambling, nice, Nintendo. Nice. Outside of the fun game, Mingilia and Belinda used the large hag wand, a digging machine, to bust Gruntilda out of her boulder prison. During the game, the three sisters attack Banjo's house, where Bottles is still inside. After the others escape, we find that Banjo's house is destroyed, with Bottles not being so lucky. Bottles dies, and the gang sets out after Gruntilda and company. The gang go through world to world, collecting jiggies and collecting notes as per usual, and getting to a quiz show. And then the final battle ensues. Banjo defeats Grunty once again, and this time for sure, she is gone, and the credits roll. The story for this game definitely extended on things that were in Banjo-Kazooie, and I do like how faithful the game actually stayed to the first game in the series. Grunty is back, and she really doesn't take a vacation off from just being squished. She just gets saved by her sisters and then goes on trying to attack people. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. She is super relentless, and not to mention she's a murderer. And I actually do like the new characters that help you along the way, and also the ones that help with the story as well, as the expansion of the first game. While keeping faithful to the first game, this story is kooky, and it's wacky, and it's silly, and at times could be downright creepy. But man, I do love the story. It is much better than the first game. Although the one thing I do miss is Gruntilda is actually now no longer able to do rhymes because her sisters suck. Screw you two, I hate you. Well, I will say the story in this game is a lot better than the first game. The only issue I have with the first two games is the story is still not involved that much, especially in Banjo Tooie's sake. Yeah, I mean, you get some other cutscenes when you move on with the game and go to different worlds, but really, it's just Gruntilda doing her crap to get ready for when Banjo-Kazooie do the final showdown with her. So the story is just like always with a lot of N64 platformers. But how's the gameplay? Does it really stand out, or is it kind of meh like the story? Well, gameplay-wise for Banjo-Tooie, it's very similar to Banjo-Kazooie. And let's be honest, it really is. Your moves are still with you from the first game, which again, helps keep the continuity from the first game. Take that, Samus and Mega Man. But that's besides the point. As you'll see, once you get out to the first world, you'll see, yeah, they went and made this game Banjo-Kazooie basically on steroids. I mean, look at the Mayan temple. This place is huge. And I will say, it is very impressive, especially for an N64 game. Now, getting notes of this game is easy as well. You have the note carriage, which equals 5 notes, and you have treble clefs that equal 20. So getting notes in this game is significantly easier now, but they're actually just used to buy new moves in this game, and they're based on getting the notes that you have, which isn't too bad. But here's the main issue I have with Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Tooie has what I call backtracking syndrome. As in, if you don't have the specific move per area, you cannot get all the jiggies, and you have to wait until you actually go to different worlds and get different movesets that way. Then you can come back and get the rest of the jiggies. Which also brings me to my next issue I have with the game, is the jiggies are more like setup. So you set up the jiggy, and then at some points in the game, then you can go get the jiggy. However, the main problem with this is you're combining that with now said backtracking, which just made this game an awful awful lot more long. Combined with making the worlds not a hop, skip, and a jump anymore, this game becomes increasingly frustrating with these certain aspects. Although half of the jiggies in the worlds are actually pretty fun to get and pretty satisfying, the setup ones along with the backtracking ones just kind of feel exhausting at some points, and it's not something I entirely like about this game. But I do like some of the changes they made to the gameplay as far as from Banjo Kazooie to Banjo Tooie. For one, Mumbo is no longer a guy that you actually have to get spells from. Instead, he creates his own spells in the overworld to do things like move this big statue or to get rocks out of the way. The way you get transformations in this game is Hubba Wumba. Here's the deal with her. Special abilities, instead of them being animalistic like in the first game, or more natural, you must say, because I know the pumpkin definitely wasn't an animal. They are more mechanical. For one certain thing, you get turned into a washing machine, for crying out loud. In Banjo-Kazooie, it becomes a joke that you get turned into a washing machine. There's also a cheat code that allows you to turn into a washing machine, but wasn't really stuff that I figured about talking about in that video, just because this video has more of the mechanical output as far as getting these abilities goes. But one of the things that's significantly different from the first game to the second game is there's so many mini games in this game. It's kind of annoying how some of them are, but there are some fun ones. Like, I do enjoy this rail shooting mini game that you do in Gruntilda Land. That game can be pretty fun, but when you get down to it, some of the mini games are just kind of ridiculous. The worst one being Canary Mary. No, I'm not talking about the Mine Shaft Canary Mary. I'm talking Final World Canary Mary. This was a freaking joke, and it took me so long to do. Even when I had to use turbo on the emulator I was running, the turbo sometimes wouldn't even work, and she would speed right past me. It was super annoying, and it was not fun, and it sucks. You had to push the button so hard, and I almost broke my A on my laptop, and I almost broke the Xbox One controller I was using to play this game. And according to certain sources I have, has been known to break N64 controllers. But all in all, the mini games are kind of a mixed bag. Some are great, some are enhanced, and some are not. But getting into a segue of something that they changed for the good is the bosses in this game. I really do enjoy these bosses. My favorite one has to be the first boss in the game, just because I do like the original take it has. It's a first-person shooter, and you shoot things out and you beat the boss. Some of the bosses, like the second boss in the game and a couple of other bosses, can be kind of annoying or way too easy, which is kind of the downfall for these bosses. I mean, a lot of them are a lot of fun and do present unique challenges to the series, but I just feel personally that the bosses really, in some cases, only contribute to uniqueness and not necessarily a fun challenge or satisfaction in that way. The reason why I like the first boss is because it offers both, and it offers a unique experience. But all in all, I will say the bosses have cool designs, and for the most part are pretty fun to fight. And now for the music and sounds in this game. I will say I do like Banjo-Kazooie's soundtrack significantly better, and I like the sounds in that game significantly better. However, I cannot deny the quality of the soundtrack in Banjo Tooie. Banjo Tooie has some of the best music in the entire N64 library. It has some great tunes that'll have you tapping your feet in no time. However, it just doesn't have the same charm to me as Banjo-Kazooie's music. Banjo-Kazooie was fun and wacky and really just made for a good time, whereas for this game though, the tunes are not exactly upbeat, and in some cases can be downright depressing or have too much of a sense of urgency. Like the boss theme, for example. I do like it, but the boss theme in this game really is trying to make something epic out of something that might not be that epic, and I don't really like it for that reason. The graphics in this game are super well done. I will say this is probably one of the best looking games on the N64. Sure, there is a little bit of slowdown, but that's the N64 in a nutshell. I'm not gonna complain about the slowdown for any N64 game, but the graphics do blow the first game out of the water as far as that goes. Gameplay wise, this game has some pretty good ups and downs, but all in all, it is a solid experience on the N64. Well, Banjo Tooie, although a really solid platforming game, is definitely not better than Banjo Kazooie. I just have so many issues with it. I don't like the setup of the jiggies. I don't like the fact that the worlds are super big. That causes the setup of the jiggies just to take way too long. And then I don't like the backtracking in this game. I remember my boy Nintendo Capri Sun saying that's why he liked the game and ultimately why he said it was a better experience. But I hate that aspect. it's just making the game longer by means of just making it longer. It's really not making it longer by means of progression or having fun with the game. It's just you backtracking to places because, oh, I got a new ability now. Let's go back to the world that we were previously in. It's not that fun, but I do like the things like the graphics and the music, and also some of the other gameplay is pretty fun. This game, to me, is just more of a mixed bag, although there are a lot of things I do like about it. But let's get my final thoughts on Banjo Tooie. Well, Banjo Tooie is really what makes the N64 good. I mean, so many games like this had different risks to take for people to play their game, but this crap was no joke either. I think the gameplay is solid, the graphics are amazing, and really besides some of the setup for the jiggies, which aren't a huge deal to be honest, and the backtracking in this game, it's an awesome game, and it's really fun to pick up and play. The only thing is that they screwed up for the XBLA version is they screwed up the controls for swimming, so I would ensure you that you play the N64 version. No crappy inverted controls, not you forgetting how the controls work, and you just get through the water level super quick. But the one thing I say I will hate about this game is the fact that they made it so grunty will not rhyme anymore. That is just something that made Banjo-Kazooie have an entire charm about it. But nope, these two hags had to go in and mess it up. Shoot them in the face. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next episode.